Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. It's another paid request, this time for Ben. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send them either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And let's get started. This is Double Impact with Jean-Claude Van Damme. 3, 2, 1, pressing play. And we have MGM, which I think... Doesn't pretty much Amazon own MGM nowadays? I don't know where MGM's at nowadays. But we got Jean-Claude Van Damme ×2 and Double Impact. Very fun action movie directed by Sheldon Lettich, who had directed Van Damme in Lionheart in 1990. Well, I say... I'm trying to think if that came out like January 91 or February, I can't, it's around that era, 91. I know this is 91. But yeah, Sheldon Lettich had been friends with Jean-Claude Van Damme for a while. Sheldon Lettich had helped co-write Bloodsport. He also helped on the script of Rambo 3, among other films he's done. But with Van Damme, he helped Bloodsport, and they definitely worked quite a bit together on that movie. And I believe Sheldon Lettich was called in to help with the edit of Cyborg when Albert Pune, may you rest in peace, he had done the film Cyborg, but he tried to make it this more operatic movie, and Van Damme's sitting there going, yeah, this just, it's got bad test screenings, this isn't really the film I think people want. I think he was right, and got Sheldon Lettich in there. They re-edited the film, and I think made a much better movie, because I've seen the original cut that Albert Pune had, and I was not a fan. It just seemed a bit more pretentious. I like the product we have now of Cyborg. And then Sheldon Lettich went on to direct Van Damme again in Lionheart, which definitely considered one of Van Damme's best movies. I know Van Damme speaks highly of that. That's one of his personal favorites of the films that he's done. And then that would get into Double Impact here. And then later on, Van Damme would work with him on Legionnaire, The Order. Not a fan of Legionnaire. The Order's a pretty good direct-to-video. It's a lower budget, but it's kind of Van Damme, Indiana Jones type of thing. So pretty good action sequences, pretty fast paced. I think The Order is actually a fun movie for a direct-to-video flick. And then I think the last one he did with Van Damme was The Hardcore, which I was not a fan of. Which, from what I understand, the original idea for that was that it was going to be Van Damme and Wesley Snipes. But just the people who were controlling the money on that movie said, well, why should we pay for both when they're in the same market, and that kind of cancel each other out? Like the same people that would buy a Van Damme film or rent a Van Damme film would rent a Wesley Snipes film. So, okay, we're going to pay more money for these guys, but we're probably going to get the same profit, the same returns. And I'm kind of sitting there going, well, that's actually not true, because I like both of them, but there may be people who are fan of Wesley Snipes that don't give a shit about Van Damme and vice versa, so... But that's kind of how some of these folks think, so that never came to be... The film was made, but not with Wesley Snipes. Which is funny, because there was another film that Wesley Snipes and Van Damme might have done together called Sandblast, where Wesley Snipes was in the desert. He would... a guy that would find mines, and then you had this action film associated with that. Van Damme would be the villain, and then that didn't come to be one of the reasons, just Van Damme didn't want to be a bad guy at that point. But yeah, as I'm talking, we got this set up here where we're going to have the parents, and they're going to get killed, and the babies are going to be separated. The inciting incident, as we call it. And Jeffrey Lewis, you could tell it's rear projection. Pretty much just him in a car. You have a big screen behind him showing all these cars and stuff. Now we have the real outskirts of the city. But yeah, guy who's the buddy, the friend, the bodyguard, however you want to put it, Jeffrey Lewis. I think Sally, he's passed away. He's done a lot of work. He was great in Every Which Way But Loose and Any Which Way You Can, being Clint Eastwood's buddy. I believe he's the father of Juliette Lewis, where she would be in Natural Born Killers and California with a K, and of course there's Bolo Yeung, the Bolo Yeung, which, for what I understand, Van Damme said, I want one guy to do this, and I want it to be Bolo. And it seems like they've stayed friends throughout the years. I remember there's some interviews back to I forget what year, like a martial arts demonstration or something, and it's like they're still friendly with each other. You tell that Van Damme respects Bolo. There's your blood squibs. Again, some people are like, what's a squib? A little bit explosive that you hit a button, it makes it appear that a gunshot happened. Nowadays, they rarely do that, Sally. That there are people that have asked me, what's a squib? But that's the world of action filmmaking we live in. And even she's going to get a squib pretty soon. There you go. But yeah, Bolo Yeung from Enter the Dragon and Bloodsport as Chun Li. It's pretty cold-blooded. You'll never know. Again, pretty damn cold-blooded to shoot a woman, defenseless woman, in the face with a shotgun. But here comes Jeffrey Lewis to save the day. Which is kind of a nice change of pace. It's very rare that Jeffrey Lewis got to be this action guy, firing guns. Probably one of the reasons he did it is like, well, no one asked me to do this stuff. So, there'd be a nice change of pace. Jeffrey Lewis was also in Tango and Cash. He was one of the bosses. I think he was Sylvester Stallone's boss. Yeah, because Stallone thinks someone is attacking them in his house, and he grabs the guy, and the screen is pressed to the guy's face, and the guy's Jeffrey Lewis is like, is this how you screen all your guests? So, he was good in that one too. Now here's where the babies get separated. Here's also Bolo getting wounded, which we're going to see later with a scar on his face. Now Bolo Yeung, like I said, he was in Enter the Dragon. I think he fought John Saxon in that. I believe it was John, but then did a lot of those type of kung fu movies back in the day. A lot of Bruceploitation movies. Enter the Game of Death was one of them. I think he was in the Clones of Bruce Lee, I believe. Now that guy there on the right pointing, I believe that's Peter Chan, the guy pointing, one of our bad guys who was on the right. That guy was a real life police officer back in the day of the Royal Hong Kong Police. And then he got into films, and after this, like, I think he was in Bloodsport. I think he was a captain in there who showed the FBI, like, Forrest Whitaker and the other guy trying to help him out and finding Van Damme's character. And then he was in this film, and after this he'd be in Hard Boiled as the police inspector chief boss of Chow Yun-fat and the other characters. And then he was also in Super Cop, Police Story 3, as one of the higher-ups. Which doesn't make sense if he was a cop in real life, so in those films he knew how to portray a Hong Kong inspector. But it's interesting, before he worked with, John Woo, Jackie Chan, he worked with Van Damme. And of course, many years later, and this is loosely based on the... Now, I think that girl there, I think that's Julie Strain. And if you don't know who Julie Strain is, sadly she passed away. She was married to Kevin Eastman for a while, one of the creators of the Ninja Turtles. I mean, I believe that's her. I know one of these girls is Julie Strain. But yeah, she was married to one of the co-creators of the Ninja Turtles, Kevin Eastman, for a while. She was the star of Heavy Metal 2000, since that was a time when Kevin Eastman owned and worked with heavy metal at that time, Heavy Metal magazine. But sadly, she's passed away. And like I said, it's very loosely based on the Corsican brothers. From what I understand, at first I was going to be done with Canon Films, but Benny Golan thought, oh, well, this guy doesn't have the acting chops to play both roles. One thing led to another. I think Sheldon Lettich tried to sue because he wasn't paid for his work on Delta Force 3, I believe. Like, there was some stuff going on with the... He helped work on that movie, behind the scenes, maybe with the script or such. And then, like, okay, we'll find... Well, actually, was it Delta Force 3? Just trying to think when that film came... Oh, I can't remember the... I know he worked on something. I can't remember the movie, and... That's a nice kick to the face. He worked on something he wasn't paid. He was going to sue Canon, and they said, fine, here's the script that you wanted, take it. And then Sheldon Lettich kept it, and eventually got to do it with Van Damme. And Van Damme wanted to do this because he thought it would stretch his acting a bit to play two roles. And then this was successful, and it led to more twin roles in films like Replicant, where he played a serial killer and a clone trying to track down the serial killer. Maximum Risk, where he was in the beginning, got killed, and then his brother wants to get revenge for the death of his twin. They even joked about it in that TV show, Jean-Claude Van Johnson. That's why I'm surprised they didn't do Expendables 3. They just... Van Damme's twin comes in. But I thought Jeffrey Lewis did a good job. He's very heartfelt, utility tears. And this is a time of Van Damme's career that he was on the rise. Because, Bloodsport, Cyborg, Kickboxer, they were more about the fighting. And based on their low budgets, they made a hefty profit. Mostly that was done with Canon, and then he kind of wanted to go away from Canon. So then you'd end with a bit more higher studios, bigger studios, who kind of see the potential. Well, wait, if we give them this amount of money, we'll get a profit, and everyone goes home happy. So, okay, well, here's Lionheart, Double Impact. They made a little bit more money. And in the beginning here, it was MGM, but I thought it was... For some reason, I thought it was another studio that released this. But yeah, Van Damme's trajectory... He was never the guy that had the biggest box office hits. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger... Sylvester Stallone. Yeah, Columbia Pictures. It was released. That's what I thought. But actually, maybe it got sold to MGM later on. Maybe that might have been the case. Yeah, that might have been the case. Anyway. Like I said, Van Damme was in this trajectory. And it seemed like his films were becoming a bit more bigger hit, one after the other. Lionheart and then Double Impact made a good chunk of change. Then Universal Soldier was a bigger hit. And then you had Hard Target, and then you had Time Cop. and say, okay, well, this guy is on the rise. Time Cop was his biggest hit. That was about 94. But Sally, that's when the drugs really took effect on him. And also, maybe you should not be doing cocaine if you have bipolar disorder. I don't think he knew he had bipolar at the time. I don't think he did. But success, you think you do no wrong. You think, wow, I'm teen shit. I could do coke. I could have fun. I get to be star movies. I get to go to parties. I get the women. People think I'm handsome. My movies are becoming successful. And Sally, the cocaine. I mean, he had the bit of ego, control of his movies. Like there's a story of Hard Target that he had his own cut of the film, and you tell like maybe he wanted to take control of the movie, and some people helped John Woo to go, no, this is a John Woo film. I think even Sam Raimi stepped in and said, no, listen, this is this guy's movie, John Woo's movie, okay? Everyone else leave him alone. Big surprise. Big surprise. Huge surprise. Who wouldn't want that beautiful woman putting her hand down your pants? I don't blame him. Look like me? You of all people should know. Wear black silk underwear. Never in my life would I wear black silk underwear. So you have Chad, the more easygoing. In a weird way, you kind of say that Chad is sort of the Van Damme of Yeung, and he's sort of become more of Alex. Where he's like doing a lot more movies where it's a lot more glum, a lot more serious, a lot more. Although I wouldn't say Alex is monotone in this, far from it. But sadly, yeah, Van Damme just having that ego, drugs, bipolar is a terrible cocktail, and then people don't want to work with you, or they think you're an asshole. And then on top of that, your films are not performing, so you can't even back that up. Well, yeah, he's a dip, but James Cameron. Oh, he was a dip, but look at the films he made and look how successful they were. Van Damme didn't have that anymore when he got into the 95, and so Sudden Death didn't do that well. The Quest didn't do that well. Match from Wrist, which I do enjoy, that didn't do well. Double Team did not do well. Knockoff didn't do well. Then when he tried to clean himself up to do Universal Soldier The Return, Sally, that definitely didn't do well. And I'm a fan of that movie, but that did not do any amount of business. And then that's when he got into the realm of direct-to-video films. The Order, Replicant, In Hell, Wake of Death. A lot of them pretty good, at least the early stages of his direct-to-video work. And nowadays, it's like every other action star. I think a lot of them are just finding movies to get paychecks, to keep their income going, to keep their lifestyle comfortable, because they're so used to their lifestyle, and they're not being asked to be in Tarantino, Scorsese, those type of movies. So, hey, do these films, get a chunk of change. They sell in the international market, in streaming services. So you hear news of Van Damme. Oh, I'm going to do Kill 'Em All 2. I thought you were going to retire and do one film that was like your ode to your older movies and this big deal, and you never hear of that. Instead, I'm hearing, the month or two, oh, there's going to be a Kill 'Em All 2. What, as if Kill 'Em All 1? Did anyone watch that movie? I mean, I watched it, I didn't like it. Did anybody like that movie, Kill 'Em All? To deserve a sequel? What? Hell, there was talks of a sequel to this. And like after Expendables 2. Oh, we're going to do a Double Impact 2. No, that never happened. And I mean, I know it's tough for me to say that they don't care. Because you like to think they do care at least a small amount. And it's just that they get bad scripts or ho-hum directors. And they just... people that cut corners, or they feel that they don't have enough money. Although I'm sitting there going, back to the day, you drive Mark Dacascos cost $3 million. And some of these other movies, like, they got some bang for their buck with low finances, and they were able to make it work. But this doesn't. But go figure. It's a shame, because with the way action films are, I mean, are there action films I enjoy nowadays? Of course there are. Of course there are. This year I liked Distraction 2 for what it was. But you look at the action stars, it's just the reality of they can't do what they used to do. Their bodies are broken down. Age has slowed them down, understandably so. That's why I give credit to someone like Nicolas Cage, who, I mean, don't consider him an action star, but he's done good action movies, The Rock, Con Air, among others. Even National Treasure had that action adventure element. National Treasure 1 and 2. But he's like, I'm going to do some really weird... I mean, I know he was doing it for money, too. But just the way Nick Cage is, it's like he really throws himself into these movies, whether you like them or not. And you get some bangers. You get Mandy. You get Willy's Wonderland. You get The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. These guys either don't want to take that risk, or don't really see the merit of doing those, or maybe some outside forces, they don't see the merit in these guys doing that type of stuff. So when you look at like Van Damme, like if I look at the past couple films this guy has done, as much as I'm a huge fan, Sally were not that great. I mean, The Last Mercenary, wasn't a fan of that. We Die Young, The Bouncer was disappointing. Black Water was really lame with him and Dolph Lundgren. Tip Boss Vengeance, Tip Boss Retaliation, Kill 'Em All. Pound of Flesh. UFO, which I think he did because his daughter was in it. And that's just the sadness of it all, is with all these guys, they're just getting so much older, and because they're getting so much older, just not a whole lot they can do nowadays. So I guess Van Damme is in a film called Darkness of Man, which I've never heard anything about. Interpol operative who takes on the role of father figure to the son of an informant killed in a routine raid gone wrong. He's protecting the kid and his grandfather from a group of merciless gangs in an all-out turf war. It's funny, he has this high rating, but no user reviews, so it must be pretty bit suspect. And then that Van Damme film he did, The Eagle Path or Full Love or whatever the fuck. Who knows if that'll ever come out? Who knows? I know I haven't talked much about it on stream, but I mean, if you're not watching along, it's pretty much they've met. They're doing this deal with the Alex version of Van Damme, and now we're putting these cars into the water and we're gonna shoot the shit out of them. Be a cover for this boat. Some fire and smoke for these guys to get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of Dodge. we had a little bit of fighting, but not a whole lot. Just a little taste of things to come. You see a lot more action in the second half of the movie. But I thought Van Damme did a good job. I thought he definitely, not just physically, but you had a different distinction of acting between these two. The much more innocent, bubbly, wide-eyed Chad and the more serious, hostile Alex. Van... What, it made my dick bigger? See, and the reason I said that the Van Damme of old, like, you would see Van Damme kind of do these performances at times like this where kind of like how he was in... I mean, well, that's not true. I mean, you look at films like Heart, when there is a need for it. Because I guess, to be fair, if I'm being honest, a lot of performances were very much serious. Lionheart, Heart, Target. But even stuff like Time Cop, he still showcased a bit of the humanity, and it just feels a lot less so in movies nowadays, where he's much more colder in his acting, which can work in the right role. Whereas that way, Wake to Death, and then has these outbursts when his wife has been killed, and he's angry and getting drunk. Great acting performance in that. But I don't know, I'm just going around in circles and circles. I guess at the end of the day, these guys are getting older. Because of their bodies being broken down, they're going to get slower. They can't do what they did in the heyday. Van Damme, he can't do the helicopter kicks. Maybe he could give you one, but his hips are fucked up. Other people, they're going to be slower. They can't take as much action, endurance. Like back to the day. They can maybe, for most of them, look good on camera in terms of their body, unless you're Steven Seagal. But it's just with age and when that much is done to your body, it's never going to be the same. And that's the sad thing about this, is that they were so used to doing action films back to the day that now that their bodies, even if the spirit is willing, the body's not strong enough to do it. Then you sit there going, well, what other attributes can they do? What other type of movies can they do? So some of them, like with some of Van Damme, is trying to do a bit more acting, but I don't know, I have the right script, you have the right filmmaker as well. I don't know, with the way films are nowadays, I think a lot of them really don't know how to make action films like they do back in the day. That's another thing, is that the directors and the filmmakers nowadays, there are exceptions to the rule, but there's a lot of them just don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like, you look at Pound of Flesh, and it's like, how could you have these awful scenes within these cars where the backdrop is so fake and phony looking of CGI during these car sequences in Pound of Flesh? And some of the stuff they showcase, you said, no, what the fuck? Like, how could someone look at this and go, that's acceptable? Or let them come off as boring. And they have action that's very lukewarm and very lackluster and lackadaisical, and you start to do a couple things, most of them okay or even less so, nothing noteworthy. And then, I mean, Stallone. Do people really commend anything? Is Steve playing 2? Is Steve playing 3? Arnold. What was the last film Arnold did that was worth a shit? Even those bigger budget Terminator sequels, like Dark Fate and Genesis. Lame as fuck. I mean, like with every movie, it's the yes, the budget, but the script and the story and the director and how they handle the action. That was tough back in the day. But then on top of that, you put this anvil of an action star that can't do as much as they could before. That's why, like, one of the few guys I maybe look forward to action film that come out is Scott Adkins, because he's still younger compared to these guys, so he can still pull off that adrenaline excitement that you want out of these type of movies. But anyway, enough of that. You have Chad here being mistaken for Alex, and then this is where we're just going to lead to Bolo kicking the shit out of Van Damme. Which I'm sure, Bolo was appreciative of that. Like, you kicked my ass in Bloodsport, I did the kick a bit of your ass. Until eventually you kick my ass again later. I think Van Damme, like, there's a reason why he was a big star and why he was a big. Like, a lot of people like me really got into him as in being a fan, is because he had a look, he had a presence. He's trying to learn the English language, so he's not as fluent as some people, but I don't think he was as terrible of an actor as other people said he was. I think he can have some expressive notions on his face, and back to the day would show a lot of moments of emotion, again with his eyes. And when he's fighting, he's like, yeah, yeah. People make fun of it now, but that brought a sense of instead of just people acting like they're mannequins, bring a sense of emotion to the fight. So I love the yeah. Yeah. Again, that brings a sense where they're not just emotionless robots fighting. So I'd be like, come on, or yeah. And people make fun of that, but I enjoy those little bits thrown into the fights. Brings a bit more character to the fights. Brings a bit more, like I said, emotion to the fights. And that's another thing with Van Damme, like compared to Seagal, Van Damme was willing to get beaten up. Van Damme was willing to get the shit kicked out of him if it worked and helped with the story. Steven Seagal would not. maybe above the law, he was able to let that happen at the very end, like when he's being beaten up, tortured, but then he gets out of it. But other than that, very rarely. Maybe the Glimmer Man, like he told the guy to punch him, so he was still in control. But Seagal would never allow someone to beat him up, while Van Damme, which that helps with the story within the fight. This back and forth, the ebbs and flow. And I thought the scenes here with the when they're both on the screen, I don't think the effects are that bad for, 1991. Of course, the problem when you have you playing your own buddy is that there's not a whole lot of things where you could really interact with each other. Kind of you talk here, then you gotta get over here, change your wardrobe to talk over here. There's not a whole lot of moments for you guys to really be in the same scene, talk with each other. And if that happens, that have to be very rarely because there's going to be some extensive effects involved by doing that. Although again, it does bring a different dynamic to it. And I think this film is a lot better than Twin Dragons with Jackie Chan. Which that film does have a good action scene in this like parking garage with all these cars and stuff around it. Like that at the very end. Not parking, it was like a garage. That was a good action scene. The rest of the movie was kind of meh. I think here, like, I liked it more because I did a bit more invested in the story. I think you can relate to, you would want revenge for the death of your parents. Each twin is given their own moments to shine. You have Van Damme here with Uncle Frank. You have the other Van Damme with the girl that he loves. Like I said, you have each one gets their moments to shine action wise. You have the one Van Damme getting the fight with Bolo Yeung. You have the other Van Damme getting the fight with the guy with the spurs on his feet, and each one has their chance to get one of the head villains. This is not a movie that's wall to wall action. I mean, so far with the action, you've probably gotten, the bit at the beginning where the parents are killed, the bit on the boat, the bit with the Bolo Yeung there. I think the next one's going to be when the girl's in trouble and Van Damme the Chad one has to go. Well, not sure. The one named Chad has to go help her. You get a bit of a foot chase. Like I said, it definitely gives you a payoff for the action in the second act of the movie. Was it? I'm sorry, we forgot to call the maid. Now see how the one on the stairs, you're hiding his face, because if we show his face more, we're gonna realize that's not Van Damme. So whenever they can, it's like, okay, hide a person's face, or have them off camera a bit, so we could just put a body double in there and make the scene a bit easier to shoot. Actually, I'm trying to think. Maybe the next action is the big. Maybe it's not the foot chase. Maybe it's something before. Actually, now that I think about it. Here we go. Here. Look good to me. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's not the foot chase. It's this scene coming up. Yeah. This drop. So yeah, this is a pretty big action sequence coming up. We got a little bit of the John Woo, two guns a blazing. This is the bit where you had the Van with two guns. Bang bang. I mean, by this point, John Woo had Bullet in the Head and The Killer and some other movies that come out. A Better Tomorrow. And Van Damme was a fan of the Hong Kong filmmaking because, like, hey, I want to work with John Woo. I want to work with. Oh, what's his name? Ringo Lam. I want to work with Choi Hart. So Maximum Risk and Double Team and Knockoff and later In Hell with Ringo Lam. I think Replicant as well. Damn. And this is each one having their own attributes. Like you have the one guy who's good with his feet, good at the martial arts. Then you have the other guy that's more fisticuffs and more a brawler and better with guns. So it's nice that they give a differentiating not only hairstyle look wise, but again attribute wise. Remember all the marketing is like double the impact, double the Van damage. One packs a piece, one packs a punch. Like I said the marketing for this was pretty fun. It's a cool poster too. The two Van Dams, different backdrops, different looks. Double the heat, double the impact, double the Van damage. But yeah, Sally. And like I said, I do like the film. Of course I do enjoy the film. Would this be my top 10 Van Damme? I don't know. I mean, my favorite is Hard Target. Other films up there would be films like Universal Soldier, Bloodsport, Time Cop, Lionheart. I kind of want to give mentions to films like The Order and Wake of Death because I think for direct-to-video they look pretty impressive for the lower budget they had. Like I said, the first half of this movie is a little bit low on the action, but it definitely makes up for that with the later parts, including this scene coming up here. So it still gives you your bang for your buck. Yeah, it's weird to say I miss Van Damme because he's still around, but I miss. Ooh, nice. Beautiful kit, done in slow motion. And yeah, that's probably, you don't see a lot of that nowadays because probably he's not able to do it as well as he could back in the day. Like that one kit could take him out for a whole day, maybe. Unlike back then. There you got guns a-blazing there. There you go. Yeah, Van Damme with that great kick and then use the gun. Here we got the pistol there. MVD did come out with a good Blu-ray of this. This and Lionheart. So I definitely, if you're a fan, I definitely recommend getting those from MVD. They did a nice job. I've had my issues with that company in the past, notably the Nemesis release, where I'm sitting there going, wait a minute, this ain't the cut of the film most of us grew up with. This cut of the film has, like, the different narration, and the ending's a bit screwed up because it pushes this narration that makes the ending of the film more downbeat, or more, I don't know, if not downbeat, then a bit more, like, cliffhanger ending, which wasn't the case. Here we got the two pistols, there you go. A little bit of John Woo there. That's right, I love the emotion on his face, anger. There you go. That's it, just it brings a bit more oomph to it. Where so, it was like, yeah, come on! There it goes, rolling there too. Of course, yes, I know you would not do that in real life because how much control can you have if you're using two guns? Are you wasting ammo? Is it harder to control? But it works for a film. Definitely works for a film. It's fun. Back in the days when it was fun. And despite what I was saying before, this still goes at a pretty good pace. You get introduced to the characters, you get introduced to the setup, the inciting incident. We have a bit of showcase of the villains and what their plans and ploys are, and then we get the action like this. Well handled by Sheldon Lettich. I mean, I'm not a fan of the hardcore, and Legionnaire just isn't my cup of tea, but Sheldon Lettich, for the most part, knew how to work with Van Damme. Lionheart, this movie, and The Order are good examples of that. And no, I wouldn't say this action is hard target level or, you know, big bombastic films of today, but they give you enough moments to make it shine. Like that great kick there, showing in wide frame that it is Van Damme on the truck doing the kick while the truck is in motion. Use a bit of slow motion to accentuate it. Plus to see that it is Van Damme doing it, not a double. Which is one of the issues I had with sudden death. I like... Wait. You fucked up. What do you mean we did? You fucked up. But yeah, oh yeah, with sudden death. I do like the film because I like the premise. It's Die Hard, but it's a hockey rink. Powers Booth is a joy to watch in terms of being a villain, having fun with the role. I think Van Damme does a good job of acting wise. It's pretty well filmed by Peter Hyams. Like, it's a good looking movie. There's some good action set pieces, like the whole ending where the helicopter comes down into the hockey rink and the explosion. One of my issues with that film is the obvious fight doubles. It's okay, I did it once or twice, but like every other fight scene that Van Damme has, there's some that Van Damme's doing it, and then there's wide shots where you can tell it's not Van Damme. So it's like, here's Van Damme's close-up, here's his double in the wide. Here's Van Damme's close-up. Okay, there's maybe a Van Damme wide, but then here's a wide with his double. There's another wide with his double. And especially when you watch it on streaming or you watch it on Blu-ray, you can easily tell. And it just takes me out of the movie. That'd be the one question I would ask Peter Hyams. What had happened? Was Van Damme in a tough spot in his life? Which it seems like he was, but just to confirm that, and I would mention that. he probably won't like it because it'd be like I'm down. I'm like I like the film, but that's my one issue is that when you watch it, it's very noticeable what happened. I'd love to find that out, but I didn't. No one's going to bother to ask Peter Hyams that. I like him as a director. He's actually in my top 10 favorite directors. He has a good filmography, but that's one thing I would like to ask him about. So we're going to get into another action scene in a little bit here. This is a tough thing with action films nowadays is that if you're someone like me that has seen so many of them, you then sit there, you go, okay, well, what else can they do? I mean, every building, every punch, every hit, every maneuver has been made and showcased. So if that's the case, then what more can you do? I don't know if I missed the bit, but I like the bit where the girl calls Jeffrey Lewis Sean. Oh, you look like Sean Connery. He's like, what? Now, you notice that sound design where you hear the spurs. You may not know what the hell that sound is, but it is the spurs on that guy's feet. Which is going to be. Ooh. Because those spurs on that one guy's feet is going to be showcased a bit later. That girl got some lays on her. God damn. Come on, move your ass. But yeah, I know I'm nostalgic, but I just miss this era of movies where it's like we gotta do your prime, Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Van Damme, Steven Seagal, got Jeff Speakman and Dolph Lundgren coming out, and you see from I Come in Peace to The Perfect Weapon to Cliffhanger to all these movies in the early '90s. Such a great. Okay, that's the bit right there. Dude, like Sean Connery, what? Jeffrey Lewis is a lot of fun in this. It's a great asset to the movie. And then the other Alex who's smiling and having fun, and that's the Van Damme I would like to see in an action movie. But that's it. If he can't do action that much, then like I say, it would be nice to see him do something like Mandy or Willy's Wonderland, like some crazy horror action, like maybe even comedic movie, and really just. But a lot of people get in their comfort zone and they don't want to really. I don't think Nick Cage has a comfort zone. He'll do seem almost anything, and that makes his filmography that much more interesting nowadays. See, people dog Van Damme's acting, but you have like how the two Van Dams interact with this guy. Like the Alex being more cool and just more offhanded, whatever. And then This Van Damme, well, he'd be more happy and excited and animated. Now, of course, that's the thing with bottles. Like, if you actually hit someone with a bottle, how many times are they actually going to break? Like, how much are they actually going to break if you hit the bottle? But that's such a common thing with movies. And there's Chad, and we definitely know it's Chad with that nice tit there. I mean, just the way it's framed and the way it's shot and the slow-mo and the editing helps with the, even a little tick like that to bring a lot of, pun intended, impact to it. And the choreography and the movements makes it seem much more powerful or much more painful. Oh, yeah, there are two of them. There you go. Big old bang. Bing, bang, boom. Boom, 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 boom. A bang, 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 bang. I think this is where the one girl's going to get a bit more frisky with our lady here. Not quite lesbian, but close. Definitely makes it a bit interesting that you have the... like I said, this is actually kind of interesting because typically this be the guy, right? The guy sexually assaulting the girl in the strip search. It'd be a guy. But the fact that it's a woman just makes it a little bit more different, a little bit more interesting. And it's still Stevie, but just a little bit more unique way. So I like that. Again, it could have easily just been a guy just making a lady afraid, but yeah, made for a nice change of pace. This is where she gets scared and calls someone, and they're not there. So Chad gets the boat. And Alex becomes drunker and more paranoid. You motherfucker! And of course, we'll later say that line that I'm not going to repeat with the way of the world today. But it's the, yeah, I'm drunk. Tomorrow I'll be sober. Yeah, I'm drunk. Tomorrow I'll be sober. But that guy will always be a maggot. But he didn't say maggot. He said something else. He will always be a maggot. But just imagine that word, but with an F in front of it. And you know what I mean? Not PC today, but I can't help it. His delivery of that line still cracks me the fuck up. It really does. Cracks me the fuck up. I love it. I mean, I know it's not meant to be funny, and I'm not making fun of it. Like, oh, it's bad. No, I just genuinely liked it. His delivery of that line. It's not the line itself; it's the delivery of it. It just makes it work for me. Joyride. Although, yeah, I think, would it have taken them much time to just write a note? She's in trouble. She called. She called, she's in trouble, couldn't find you, gotta go try to help her, see you later. Like, that would take less than 2 minutes to write. And you could have just done that. But I mean, if he had done that, then he wouldn't be more suspicious and paranoid, and just he wouldn't have the scene where he's more drunk and thinking that his brother's fucking his girlfriend. So, there's that, I guess. I'll be right back. Sorry, I had to do something real quick. I'm pause at 1 hour, 1 minute, and 24 seconds. 3, 2, 1, pressing play. And sorry about that, folks. Here's him getting more and more pissed off. I just like to mention, like, this would be a frame of reference. While this is happening, and we're watching an action film, something funny that happened the other day. Well, today, right now, I should say. So I get a message from someone on Facebook. That's who I was answering. As is nice foot chase showing some nice locations and scenery of the city. I think that's what helps with this foot chase is the backdrops. Some really nice backdrops we got here. Oh, this guy, I think he's the one who's going to get the spurt. There you go. Right there. Pretty nasty bit of business to get a damn spur across your neck. But okay, I'm debating whether I mention it, but I'll mention it. Fuck it. So there's a guy named Michael Felcher who does Red Shirt Pictures. You know, really liked his work. He does a lot of special features on movies, documentaries, and so forth. So a friend of mine showed me this post that the guy made on Beverly Hills Cop 2. Now, if you don't like the film, teach their own. I like Beverly Hills Cop 2. I think it's a great movie. I think it's a great sequel. So this guy does his review, but the way he's talking about his review is very confusing. He's talking about how, oh, Beverly Hills Cop 2 is so mean to women and it hates women, and the only significant female character is Brigitte Nielsen, who is called bitch and come-ons, and is so misogynistic. And I'm sitting there going, are you fucking kidding me? Like, is this a joke? Is this an early April Fool's gag? I did respond. I didn't read his response, because maybe I'll do it later. Because I said my piece. But I'm sitting there going, what the fuck, are you serious? I mean, she's a villain who kills people, who murders people. Many guys have talked shit about bad guys. John McClane talks a lot. Axel Foley talked a lot of shit to bad people in the first Beverly Hills Cop. And I'm sitting there going, what the fuck? Really? What, you can only be that way to bad men and not bad women? Isn't that kind of a weird way of being sexist? Well, you treat men that way, but you can't treat evil women that kill people that way. But if they're evil men that kill people, then you can. What the fuck is this shit about? And then no, there's no female significant characters, so misogynistic. I'm like, so is John Carpenter's thing misogynistic? Because there's no fucking women there, and there's no women in that movie. Simple voice on a computer, is that sexist? Because there's no significant. Why does a movie need? If I saw a movie, I'm like, there's no significant male characters, people would call me a dumb fuck or an asshole or anything in between. This movie doesn't have any significant male characters. People go like, shut the fuck up, dude. That's what they would say to me. So, it's his opinion. To each their own. We highly disagree. I just think one of the things I typed was, what the fuck? You serious? Give me a break, dude. It's so mean to women. Beverly Hills Cop 2. Of all the 80s action films, you don't pick out Beverly Hills Cop 2 for that? Because they talk shit about an evil lady who kills and murders people that shot Ronnie Cox and tried to kill him? God forbid we're mean to evil, murderous ladies. Just like we could be mean to mean, evil, murderous guys. Just, I don't know, that just confused the ever-loving fuck out of me. I know it's a tangent I got in there. But that's the state of the world we live in, and that's why they don't make movies like this anymore. Because they go, well, this movie is awful. Because the only two women is the one who is the girlfriend of one of the Van Dammes, and the other is a villain. So that means it's a bad movie. I mean, you apply that, in my opinion, crappy logic to a lot of stuff, and this is the way of the world today. I mean, so weird to me. So fucking weird to me, man. Like, goddamn, like, are you kidding me, dude? Oh, we see a woman and we see nipples, so this is sexist. Like, goddamn. So this is this day nightmare or daymare that he has, thinking his brother's having sex, and that's why he shot in this different lighting format to further showcase to the audience this is a dream. This is not really happening. Motherfucker! This is paranoid delusions overcoming his sensibilities. I guess Van Damme, was able to work in a sex scene, and is the booty in focus? So the best of both worlds, able to showcase it, but at the same time keep the tenacity of the character where, again, you see that it's clearly a dream. You see all the lighting, and was the purple in the background, and you have the orange lighting, and at one point it was blue, and it'll cut to what they're doing in reality. Grant, because if you didn't do this, then it could be like, oh, well, they had sex and now he's back to driving the boat. But the fact it's clearly shot like a dream is to further illustrate to the viewer that yes, it is just a dream. Or in his case, a daymare. It's like, nope, he's there. Nope, she's dressing up, and that's all there is to it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Yeah, I know, he's in a lot of trouble. Here we get the drunk as hell Alex, I should say. I mean, come on, we had to find a way to get Van Damme versus Van Damme in this. It's like, hey, if we have two Van Dammes, there gotta be at least one scene where you guys fight with each other, which is tough to do because you're the same person, same actor, but with doubles and stuff. Mr. Silk Underwear. Mr. Perfection. So you had to find a way to get the easy-going Van Damme to fight, and Spot and the lady would do it. So one's defending the girl, one's drunk. Then credit to the editing to make you believe that these two actually find each other. I'm going to fuck up his face. John Van Damme just the best to me. There you go. Come on. And just the amount of staging, it's like, okay, we gotta slick your hair back and get you in those clothes. Then we gotta get you here and get you in those clothes. Yeah, fix your hair. Just seem to be like time consuming. Ooh. That is where the line's coming up. That again still makes me laugh. In a good way. You're drunk. Right here. Maybe I'm drunk. Tomorrow I'll be sober. And it's just the way he says it. Of course, we have our heroes separated, and then eventually they're gonna get back together in order to fight the bad guys in the third act and team up again with each other. I don't know, that Van Damme's guy acting like a kid. They'll swim! You ain't gonna fucking swim across the goddamn ocean. It's like, I am gonna do it. I am, no matter what. No, the problem is you thought the guy was sleeping with your woman and you were wrong, because that didn't fucking happen. Yeah, just sleep it off. This is where the actions definitely don't come to the forefront. You got And that's the thing, like, you could have this Van Damme do it, then this Van Damme do it, intersect between the two, have a consistent flow of action. Damn tear gas. But I mean, I not to beat a dead horse, but that's another thing about today's age is, with the fact that there's not a lot of people that making these type of movies that know how to make these type of movies, but then all these like social justice warriors that say, well, you can't make a movie like this because it's too antiquated, it's too misogynistic, it's too sexist, it's too violent, it's too this and that. I'm like, give me a fucking break, people. It's entertainment, it's fun. And then, like, let me look at your library of movies. I mean, wait, so you like this, this, and this, but this is bad? Come on, dude. Give me a break. Nice chop to the throat. Didn't stab the guy, but maybe the idea was that if he stabbed the guy, even though he's a bad guy, maybe that would seem too harsh. Even though again they're bad guys, but of course Bolo Yeung wants a part of him because he's the one shot him in the face. Oh no, the bad guy is calling the girl names. We better be we gotta cancel the movie. It's too misogynistic. The bad guy called the girl names. That's so awful. It's so terrible. What the fuck, dude? Ooh. Well, Alice is getting some kicks in there too. Nice flip there, which ended in a broken neck. Hey dude, when you're running, you should maybe aim your gun. Instead of running out into the open area, just firing blindly, maybe you should aim and it would have worked out better for you. You would be something called alive. But, just saying. Maybe don't run out and go, I don't know what I'm aiming at. I don't know what I'm aiming for. I'm just saying. There you go. Nice tits there. Knock that guy out. But like I said, it's an entertaining one. Goes by a pretty good pace. Has a nice, especially in the second half, nice consistent amount of action. I think the story works well enough for what it needs to accomplish. Again, nice bit of direction there is that we need to have one Van Damme put the knife under the other Van Damme's neck. Have it be in the same shot, so have it be where we cut off the eye level so we can piece together, we can hide the fact that you can't have two Van Dammes on screen, but at the same time we don't need to have extensive effects because each one of those is going to be a bit harder and harder to do. Like this bit here. Probably why you have that big pitch of blackness and to hide whatever details to make the two images on the same frame together. And this is where, yeah, the third act's going to be on this shipyard, on this big old belly of the ship. We got the red lighting here. Brings a little bit of a eerie flavor to it, as if Freddy Krueger's going to come out and wreck some shit. How sweet, fresh meat. And also we've had these two individuals, so two people that our heroes have a personal connection to, so they both have a even more of a personal gain to save them and get the fuck out of Dodge after we kick some ass. Who's your brother? My brother hates parties. There you go. There you go. Goodbye. Sayonara, pal. Yeah, I mean, granted, this is a ship and not a submarine. It makes me think of the film Jean-Claude Van Damme did with Dolph Lundgren much later in his career, called Black Water. And you see that film, and you see how, like, the gunfight, the firefight sequences, and little bits of action just don't really have much of a life to them. They kind of come off rather bland and blasé. Granted, I mean, that's not fair because this has a lot more wiggle room because of the location. But still, it's much more entertaining affair in this movie compared to that one. And this is an interesting setup where what was coming up where Chad is in the dark and you only have this one light showcasing so that the guy can disappear into the shadows. I think the guy with the spurs, he's a choreographer that would work with Van Damme in a few movies later on. I think the same guy who, again, would fight with the spurs, I think he directed Kill 'Em All with Jean-Claude Van Damme. I believe that's the same guy. And that's another thing with you compare Van Damme to Seagal. I think Van Damme was definitely much more of an emotive person. Even that yell, that scream there, thinking that his uncle, his dear friend, his family died. That you have this anger. You're dead. Even that bit, I miss Van Damme having those explosive moments of emotion. How does it feel to be hunted? Or Death War. Come on! He doesn't really showcase a lot of that nowadays. Maybe the directors or the writers don't let him do it. Maybe it's his choice. I don't know for certain. But, yeah, I was saying, I think the guy with the Spurs, I think he directed that movie Kill 'Em All. This guy here. Don't quote me on that. But I would say, like, between him and Seagal, Van Damme, like, Van Damme, you see his movies try to be a little bit more different. Like Bloodsport, Cyborg, Double Impact, they felt different from each other. I liked a lot of early Steven Seagal work, but they kind of felt like if you reworked a couple, well, that's not true. I was going to say if you reworked a couple of things, they could be sequels, but Hard to Kill is a pretty different type of setup, to be fair. And Seagal, I liked his early work. He's like cool, but he's not quote emotive. It worked for those films, but I'm just saying, like you look at Van Damme, he's a lot more emotion put into it. Like I said, this here is just interesting, the use of light and shadows. It grabs the guy, just beats the shit out of him. Sometimes that's all you need to do. Lay the fucking smack down on him. Well, here you get like a boss in a video game. He's throwing the barrels. What you gotta do? You gotta get the fuck away from the barrels. Or you do the quit time event. Like, make sure you do the quit time event so you don't get demolished. It's like, tap the X button, do the tick. Although you think maybe it would have been better to just move instead of trying to tit the barrel, but definitely looks cooler this way. Now it's like, mash the X button, mash it, so you don't die. There you go. Sorry, I played the bit of Batman Arkham Origins and those type of games. Like when something like that happens, you gotta make sure you mash it so you get out of the way. And hit the bad guy and move on. Now we have sort of the rematch between Van Damme and Bolo Yeung. It's great to see Bolo there. I mean, after Bloodsport, he got a lot of roles that were fairly similar. Bit tough guy, villain. There's one, what was it called? Blood Fight or something like that. He was breathing fire, tiger claws. Very rarely did he get to be a good guy. I think one was TC 2000. And another was Shoot Fighter, which is a fun one. You got the, what's his name? From the Karate Kid. Not Rob Macho, but the William Zabka. He's one of two guys that go into this tournament. They're good guys. They're pupils of Bolo Yeung. One's kind of being drawn to the dark side, but they overcome things at the end, and Bolo has to fight the bad guy in the ring. I know there's Shoot Fighter, and then there's Shoot Fighter 2. Shoot Fighter 2 is not as good, but it's watchable. And I do like the first Shoot Fighter. I like the stuff with the barrels, at least makes it a bit different from the fight in Bloodsport. Peekaboo, I see you. I think it's a beautiful helicopter kit, like beautiful. I love his helicopter kits. I love the emotion he gets into with these kits. Yeah, it has like a fuck yeah. Beautiful kicks. Well staged, well framed. Bowls in for the shock of his life. There you go. Damn. He's electrifying. Spark the damn flame. That's definitely a shot for in a lot of trailers. Him jumping, there's big explosion behind him. And that's the thing, like, when Van Damme, like, Seagal's heyday, Seagal's films were outgrossing Van Damme. Like, you do the box office grosses, Seagal's movies were making more money than Jean-Claude Van Damme's. I just because the Tito stuff just felt, and the bone crunching just felt a bit different compared to the martial arts films we had seen before. While Van Damme, maybe people would be reminded of Chuck Norris and other folks of that type of karate, martial arts. While Tito's felt a bit, and then he had a little bit of that cool like Clint Eastwood, squinty eye, calm demeanor. You think you're above the law, but you ain't above mine. Don't take you to the bait, Senator. The blood bank. And yeah, I love those early Seagal films. Just the guy never drew. I think Van Damme has grown as an actor, and he tried to do different movies. Even his direct-to-video career, Replicant is a fairly different film. Wake of Death, I think, is fairly different from In Hell, and then In The Order. JCVD. You never see a Seagal do a film like JCVD. And stuff like that is what makes... one of the many reasons that makes Van Damme a step above Seagal for me. There you go. Oh, it's sexist. He smacked a woman in the face, even though she's an evil, murderous bitch. But the fact that smacked in the face, sorry, movie's misogynistic. 0 out of 10. There you go. Oh, there you go. Sorry about that. Lisa, you definitely did your bang for your buck in this. It's like a video game in a good way. Like this whole third is like a video game. You just defeated the next wave. You just defeated the next... It's like a boss rush in a video game. You're defeating the boss rush. Hey, maybe that's how Van Damme was when he was coked up. Like, he's running there. Ah! That's Van Damme when he's coked up. He's, ah! Maybe that's what Seagal saw when there's that story of Sylvester Stallone saying he had the party and Van Damme was looking for Seagal because he was tired of Seagal talking shit about him. And Stallone himself said Seagal didn't want any of it. He went away. Van Damme couldn't find him. He's not ready to fight. Maybe if Van Damme was like this, maybe I can't blame Seagal. I wouldn't want to mess with him too. Which I know a lot of people talk shit about Van Damme. He hasn't been in a real fight. I mean, yeah, he's a movie star, action star. When was he supposed to be in real fights? I mean, you're right. He has not trained in UFC. He was busy doing movies. I know Michael J. White say, oh, he's not a true martial artist. I'm like, who gave you the right to say who is and isn't a martial artist? Michael J. White? Michael J. White? I mean, fuck. Like, what is it that you've done so special to say that you can determine who is and who isn't a, quote, true martial artist? And I like Michael J. White in movies. Blood and Bone is a great one. Black Dynamite is a fun one. I liked him in Universal Soldier: The Return. I know he said nice things about Van Damme because Van Damme treated him well in Universal Soldier. Gave him a coat instead when he was cold. He's like, listen, I have nothing to say about the guy as a person, but I don't think he's a martial artist. Which is a lot nicer things he said than Seagal, which I don't blame Michael J. White. And then the whole thing of, well, I could beat Bruce Lee. How many fights Bruce Lee? How many fights have you been in, Michael Jai White? He keeps talking on this shit. I'm like, how many fucking fights have you been in, Michael Jai White? I know you're a talented guy. I know you could kick my ass. Sure. Let's have a gun. But that line of thinking to go right back to you. But anyway. Interesting. And this is always pretty interesting of being attacked by a damn cargo shipping container. Which I'm like, well, unless you don't know how to swim, just go into the water. Just go into the water and swim around. I mean, it's not that high up. At least I don't think. No, not too high. But that's what I mean. Like, they separate, they get their own moments to shine. You have, Van Damme, you have the one dealing with Bolo Yeung. You have him dealing with the other two, the lady and the Spurs guy. They get their own villain to take care of. Ooh, right there, right in the gears. Obviously, they couldn't show too much of that, probably for the ratings. This was a time when the MPA were being complete dickholes with the ratings of films. I mean, a few years later, they gave hard-hearted NC-17, and if you watch, you go, there's really no reason why this would get an NC-17. Not at all. None. So, it's just the MPA, that's an era where they were really fixated on violence in movies, and it's abhorrent. So they picked on slasher films and action movies. What about my father? Good question. You don't grant some wishes, get his parents, his father back. Griffith, you want to do an impersonation of a pancake? Here you go. Sayonara. What about my father? Enjoy the ride, buddy boy. Enjoy the ride. See ya. I know you did an impersonation of Peter Pan, but you forgot one thing. You don't know how to fly. You did Peter Pan right off this. Boom. And everything has ended happily. And the music fits. It's a pretty good... I didn't mention the music, but the score fits the film fairly well. Did a nice job on the music. And there's Jeffrey Lewis. Glad they didn't kill him off. Feel the impact. Yeah, student, Julie Strang. There you go. Yeah, Peter Malota, bodyguard with Spurs. I think he directed Kill 'Em All. Victor Armstrong done a lot of stuff. I think he directed Dolph Lundgren in Army of One, I believe. Feel the impact. Feel the impact. Definitely a type of song of its. You know, that song works for the heyday of this. This is still a fun movie, still entertaining film. Went by a good pace. Nice action sequences. It's still fun. Makeup by Zoltan. Zoltan. Okay. Zoltan. Okay, interesting name. Nice locations of Hong Kong used and utilized. Yeah, still a pretty good action film. Which they don't make nowadays. Not a whole lot, at least. With that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye bye.